Hello, my name is Sophia, and I have a big brother named Randy, who is 6 years bigger than me. Randy has been exceptionally gifted academically from a young age, consistently achieving stellar results. He graduated from both a renowned high school and university, earning our parents deep pride. Nonetheless, the continual accolades and expectations appeared to unexpectedly influence his character as he matured. Upon finishing his education and landing a new position, Randy chose to move out of our family home. At his departure, he made a sarcastic comment about no longer being able to stand our home's dull life. I clearly remember the complex emotions displayed on our parents' faces then, surprise mingled with a touch of sorrow. Previously, Randy was a joyful and beloved family member. On a personal note, I felt a bit of resentment. Unlike my brother, I didn't shine in academics or sports, and my high school wasn't exceptionally prestigious. However, I treasured our family's warmth and love. Both Randy and I benefited immensely from our parents' support. It was disheartening to see him seemingly disregard the value of our family ties. As a kid, Randy was my idol, managing everything flawlessly and looking after me. Yet, as I neared my high school graduation, he started to question the importance of further education and belittled my ambitions. When our parents confronted him, he accused them of causing his attitude shift. Despite these hurdles, I pressed on, enrolled in a national university, and landed a job at my dream company, thanks to my parents' encouragement, which molded me into a compassionate individual. Meanwhile, my brother's path diverged. He had married, and neither our parents nor I had met his spouse. One day, I got an unexpected call from my mom during work. Concerned by her unusual tone, I stepped outside to talk. In a softer voice than usual, she shared that my dad had suddenly fallen sick. Disturbed by the news, I quickly told my boss, rushed to the hospital, and hoped for the best. In the waiting room, I found my mom crying, seeking consolation. Anxious, I sat next to her, trying to grasp how my dad, who was fine just that morning, had landed in this predicament. My inquiries spilled out in quick succession until my mom, pausing briefly, whispered that my father was diagnosed with cancer. Time stood still as I absorbed her words, the shock and worry evident in my voice. Taking a deep breath, with a voice laden with sorrow, she continued, explaining that it was stage 4 cancer that had spread to the bile duct, making it challenging to remove entirely. Her tears flowed freely as I listened to this heartbreaking news, searching for a ray of hope. I asked about the forthcoming treatment steps. My mother nodded gravely, and after a brief pause, the attending doctor came to discuss the condition in detail and the available treatment options. The grim reality became apparent as we were informed about the advanced stage of the disease, with metastasis to other parts of the body. The doctor outlined the considerable risks associated with surgery and the uncertain chances of its success. As my mother and I clasped hands, we struggled to accept this bitter truth. The doctor's straightforward delivery underscored the seriousness of our predicament, presenting us with critical choices: continue with chemotherapy or consider the option of palliative care. The silence that filled the waiting room, punctuated only by the ticking of the clock, was broken by the silent tears rolling down my mother's cheeks. Amidst the challenging situation, it was clear that discussions had to happen, underscoring the need to involve my brother, Randy. I proposed we contact him immediately to decide together. With a resigned smile, my mother revealed she had already informed Randy, but his reaction was telling. Knowing my brother's tendency to shirk from seeking assistance or making difficult decisions, I insisted on involving him in this crucial decision. After numerous calls, Randy's voice, tinged with annoyance, finally came through, asking why I kept calling. With urgency and anxiety, I detailed our father's condition and questioned his absence from the hospital despite being informed. His indifferent reply was jarring, showing no empathy and dismissing our concerns, deciding to end the conversation abruptly. I was left stunned by his reaction, deeply troubled by his apparent indifference and lack of familial connection. Returning to my mother, her face etched with worry, I softened the blow by saying Randy seemed preoccupied, sparing her the harsh reality. She sighed, expressing how Randy's presence would have been comforting. Eventually, our father passed away quietly in palliative care a few months later. I informed Randy of the somber news, the wake, and the funeral details over the phone. His cold response, claiming he was too preoccupied with work to attend, urged us to go on without him. True to his word, he was absent from both the wake and the funeral, leaving even my mother in disbelief, never imagining her son would miss his father's final rites. Family and friends were both surprised and disheartened by his absence. After the funeral, in a moment of solemn reflection, my mother's deep sigh and her words of disbelief that Randy truly didn't show were heartbreaking. I took her hand, affirming with conviction, "Mom, let's not worry about him anymore. We must allow him to follow his own path. For now, let's cherish the memories of Dad." My mother tightly squeezed my hand in response, smiling and saying thank you. Unexpectedly, the next day, my big brother appeared at the apartment where we live. His usual expression was replaced with an urgent restlessness. Without any greeting, he demanded to know, "Where is the inheritance father left behind?" Shocked by his demand, I emotionally retorted, expressing disbelief at someone who didn't even attend the funeral now making such inquiries. Visibly irritated, my brother snapped at me, saying the kids should stay quiet, creating a tense atmosphere. Attempting to calm the situation, my mother explained that apart from the apartment, our father didn't leave much behind. She presented my father's passbook on the table, flipping through it to reveal that all the savings were transferred to a different account. My brother, taken aback, asked in surprise, "What is this all about?" Gently, my mother replied, "Your father instructed to move all the money to my account earlier. Also, this apartment's name has been changed, and now it's in my name." Left speechless, my brother clicked his tongue in frustration and left. Watching his departing figure, we were once again filled with admiration and gratitude for our father's foresight and his plan to protect the family. A few months later, my mother unexpectedly fell and was rushed to the hospital. The family was filled with shock and concern upon learning that she had pneumonia in a more advanced stage than initially thought. Despite feeling relieved when she was diagnosed with a minor cold at a small clinic, detailed examinations at a major hospital revealed a much more severe condition with only about 3 months to live. Hearing this news left me at a loss for words. I found it hard to believe, especially considering how healthy she appeared. Tragically, just a few days after the 3-month mark, my mother quietly passed away. The absence left behind an indescribable stillness and sorrow. Filled with guilt and grief, I questioned why I hadn't noticed sooner or taken her to a larger hospital immediately. Even after learning about my mother's pain, my brother showed no signs of coming to our house. My aunt, my mother's sister, and I handled the arrangements for the wake and the funeral. Understandably, it was a significant shock for my aunt that my brother didn't appear at our mother's last rites, just as he hadn't for our father's. Although my aunt was extremely outraged, I felt that expecting anything or saying anything to my brother was meaningless, recalling his past actions. However, a few days after the funeral, as my aunt and I were sorting out the heirlooms, my brother appeared again accompanied by his wife, whom we were meeting for the first time. "Where's Mom's inheritance? She must have left something, right?" My brother brought up this question. From the beginning, I was both shocked and dumbfounded, My aunt, equally stunned, stared at him in disbelief. The most astonishing thing was that beside my brother stood his wife, my new sister-in-law, who neither met our eyes nor greeted us, but stood silently. Next to my brother, even more shocking was that my brother did not even visit our mother's grave. "Brother, please at least pay your respects to our parents. At the very least this at Mom's grave," I said calmly. With a sneering laugh, my brother responded, "Does that even mean anything?" He quickly followed with, "By the way, how much of Mom's inheritance is left?" At that moment, May's expression changed drastically. In a voice filled with anger, contrasting with her usual warmth, she sternly admonished Randy, "How can you think of such things at a time like this? Sophia is managing the funeral on behalf of both of you, putting in all her effort. Shouldn't you act with a bit of gratitude, thinking of your parents?" Ignoring our aunt's anger, my brother responded dismissively, "Auntie, it's none of your business. Don't interfere with these demands." From my brother and sister-in-law, the atmosphere in the room became cold and tense. Behind my brother, my smiling sister-in-law said, "Of course I remember your name, Sophia. Do you plan to keep all of your mother's inheritance for yourself? Sorry, but we can't allow that. This apartment is so lovely. I think it's perfect for us." I never imagined that my brother and his wife would say such things. "Why should I have to leave for the sake of both of you?" I asked, my voice quivering. While twirling her finger, my sister-in-law continued, "This apartment has just been renovated, and its location is amazing. It's close to the station, and there are plenty of shops, so we'll be living here." At the peak of my anger, I confronted my big brother, asking, "All you care about is the inheritance. What are you thinking?" Unable to hold back, I raised my voice, turning away. My brother let out a heavy sigh. "Such vulgar behavior. Do you think raising your voice solves everything? We'll be back here in 3 days. Have everything ready to move out by then." With those words, their intentions became crystal clear, and a mix of my anger and sadness bubbled up. Anna couldn't stop my tears from flowing, but this wasn't just a one-time event. I had to think about what to do next. Determined, I wiped my tears, and my aunt gently tapped my shoulder, handing me a letter. The delicate handwriting of when Mother adorned the envelope's surface. "What's this, Auntie?" I cautiously opened the envelope, my aunt explaining, "Your mother entrusted this to me for a just-in-case scenario. She told me to give it to you at the right moment." Tears formed in her eyes as I unfolded the paper inside. My mother's beautiful handwriting filled the page. "To my precious Sophia, if you are reading this letter, it means I'm no longer in this world. I'm truly sorry for our parting." A warmth filled the back of my eyes, tears beginning to flow. The letter continued, "You might have Randy visit the house concerning the inheritance, but don't worry. Everything that your father handed down to me is now yours." I was at a loss for words, unaware that my mother had planned this far ahead and arranged everything in advance. The letter expressed her apologies for suddenly leaving me alone, but mentioned that she was at peace, having witnessed how much I had grown into a wonderful person. While learning is essential, it's not everything. The kindness and compassion you learn through your interactions with people hold the most value, she wrote, expressing pride in me. My mother stated, "Your father and I were genuinely happy to see you grow up with such a warm heart until our last days." The letter conveyed heartfelt gratitude, leaving me overwhelmed. Despite the tears blurring the words, I was determined to absorb every sentiment my mother had conveyed and continued reading. She revealed that, following my father's wishes, she had secretly changed the apartment's ownership to my name. "I'm sorry for using your seal without permission, but it was both your father's and my wish. Please don't be angry," she wrote. The letter encouraged me to persevere through life's ups and downs, urging me to stay strong and find happiness. The letter ended, and tears streamed down my face, wetting the paper. My aunt, standing next to me, pressed her eyes and shed tears alongside me. Your sister truly cared about you. In her heart, you were a treasure, my aunt said gently, holding my hand. From the envelope, a bank book in my name emerged, revealing a substantial amount, likely the inheritance my mother had saved for me. A few days later, my brother and his wife showed up at the house without even knocking on the door. It's time for you to leave, just as promised, right? My brother sarcastically said as I stood still. My sister-in-law became irritated, demanding, "Isn't it your duty to leave quickly?" I took a deep breath, looked them straight in the eyes, and calmly stated, "Actually, this house is now under my name." The room's atmosphere became tense. My brother and his wife looked at each other, exclaiming, "What kind of joke is this? I am the eldest son. I should inherit the house, right?" My brother said, clearly shaken. Beside him, my sister-in-law stared at me, saying, "This is the first I've heard of this." However, I have decided to state the facts. The house and the inheritance are all managed under my name, so there's nothing to divide. My brother frowned and insisted, "Then hand over half of that inheritance to us." I questioned, "But this money was left for my future and to ensure that I take care of the house. You always looked down on me, and now you're asking for money. What changed?" His face turned red, and surprisingly, my sister-in-law exclaimed, "Wait, what is this? This isn't what we were expecting." From what I gathered, my brother recently faced significant trouble at his job and was subsequently fired. Not only that, but he and his wife were moving from one day job to another, seemingly in a tight spot financially. With my revelation, their expectations were shattered, and they began bickering, placing blame on one another. Calmly, I said, "This is my house now. If you make any unnecessary fuss, I'll call the police." Trembling with anger, they reluctantly accepted my words and left. Since then, I've had no contact with them. I deliberately deleted all their contact details and began a new life in this apartment, my treasure filled with memories of my father and mother. Now I have a loving partner by my side, and we plan to build a new family in this apartment. He respects my decision and proposed that we take the first step of our new life here. Our future is bright, and I want to pass on the warm love my parents gave me to the children we will have in the future.